morning, peoples. I am back. Yeah, I don't want to sound too happy because there's not much stuff to be happy about. So, but of course, I'm gonna give you the news in Europe. And while we're doing that, I'm going to make a background. I want to doodle. Want to do a lot of doodling this week. I have been making these, which I kind of like. It's not as much as that I like the, well, I do like the whole thing, but using these really fluid colors and using a parallel pen for these effects is really kind of relaxing. So this one I like also has some dramatic color in it. Then another one where we put some gold in it, but you can't see it. But you can see the details. So and those from last week, of course, those two, they're a little bit darker. And I really like this. I'm gonna do a lot of these. I've been looking into some Daniel Smith watercolors. They are expensive, I know, but they are also so vibrant, and the color just, you know, comes off the paper, and I really like that. But I like this also. I really like, can you see all the fun stuff happening? Like here, where it really spread out really wide. I might do a video of that too. So while we're discussing world politics and wars, I'm going to be doing a background for a doodle I have in my mind. It's going to be one of those string doodle things. So let's begin. I wish we didn't have to talk about it, but we do, I guess. Ukraine. Okay. So, like you guys know, I have like 8 hours a day that I watch the news and read Twitter and all kinds of things. You know, I try to read through all the propaganda stuff, and if I find something that really upsets me, I try to fact check it and stuff like that. So the thing is that they are capturing a lot of soldiers, and what stands out is that these soldiers are really, really young. They're like, I don't know, if I had to give them an age, something like 19 to 20 years old, something like that. Maybe a couple of years older, but not like 30, 35 years old. So it's about, I don't know how you call it in English, but Holland used to have, like when you turned 18, you had to go to the military, you had a basic training, and you did a lot of exercises, and then after a year or something you could stop, and you know, everyone had to do that. So we stopped with that. Don't know why, but we stopped. And but they still do that in Russia. So these really young children, because they are children, they get called and they get pulled into the military, and then the thing is they send them to Belarus, which is, we call it White Russia. It's next to the Ukraine. So they tell them they have to go there because of exercises, and these kids don't know they're going there, you know, to fight. They have no clue. And they're calling their mums and dads and telling them they're on exercise and blah, 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 blah. Then once they're there, these kids, they get told to, you know, collect all the mobile phones. So they take the mobile phones away so that these, they are children. I can't say men. So they take their phones away so they can't contact their families anymore. And then they're just shipped into the Ukraine to fight. And the first thing what happens is, you know, when they encounter enemy fire, what they do, they run. They do. They drop everything. They drop their guns and whatever they have, and they just run. And a couple of these soldiers, or a couple, quite a few, they have been captured. And they're telling exactly that. They're talking about, you know, their mums and dads don't even know they're in a war. They all think they're going on some kind of a cool exercise. And reality is that they're just stuck in the middle. So first Russia denied it, right? Because, you know, I want to fact check that, because I'm thinking, you know, who can do that to young guys like that? So I fact checked it, and first Russia denied it on state TV. Yeah, we got some state TV here too. That's pretty cool. So they denied it. And then, like 2 or 3 days later, they said, okay, it's true. So, unbelievable. Got to pause here for a bit. I don't have any paper. Oh, maybe I do. Yeah. So that's what's happening. And we're talking not a dozen or 2 dozen. We're talking thousands of young boys sent into the Ukraine thinking they're going on an exercise, and then being captured. And you know, their whole world, you can see it in their faces, because we got video of those boys telling their stories, and you can see it in their faces. They are terrified. They are, and they're afraid they're gonna die, and they don't know what they're doing. It's really sad. Okay, let me pull this one off here. Okay, that's kind of what I was looking for. I do think it's a little wide, a little bit too wide, but I kind of like the really distressed look, right? Okay. Now, there was also video of soldiers. They were a little bit older. They were like 30, 35. So these are paid soldiers. And there were these Ukrainian civilians that, you know, they just walk straight up to them. That is so amazing to me. You'd have to have a lot of courage to do that. So they walk straight up to these soldiers and say, you know, put down your weapons. We're not in war with Russians. You know, we're at war with Putin, so please put down your guns and stop this. And the Russians really just said, we would if we could, but then we'd be, I don't know how you call it in English. I think they would be deserters, so that's something you don't do, because that's like the death penalty. That went way wrong. Well, maybe I can fix it. Yeah, maybe. But, you know, then they would be shot for treason or something like that. And that makes it even more difficult. So some of those paid soldiers even want to just stop what they're doing. But if they do so, they would be called, I don't know how you call it. You know what I mean. Deserters of the army. And they would pick up their families back in Russia. Yeah, that's what they do. And, you know, there would just be absolutely no reason for them to do that, because they don't want to get their families in trouble. And that's how that works. Now, there's, we have a couple of TV people here in Holland that have been to the Ukraine for various reasons, and one was is this girl. She does a lot with horses, and then, you know, she's talking to some people in the Ukraine, and they just said, you know, we know of a lot of people that just let their horses go because they can't feed them anymore. They're afraid that the Russians are going to bomb the stables, and they just let the horses run free in the hopes that once this is over, that they can find them again if they're alive. Because also there's a lot of talk about Russians setting stables on fire, shooting stray dogs that are on the roads. And I guess that's just, you know, how war goes. If you can say that's just how war goes. It's to me, it's totally disgusting that anyone could shoot an animal like that. But I have seen some articles about a girl that was bringing a lot of food to the shelters, and they just shot her, you know, out of the car. She died. So, you know, we just don't know what's happening over there, guys. There's a lot of stuff going on that we have absolutely no idea about. Okay, there's a little bit of gold on top of this. And I really just like that really weathered look. And I'm going to go over this one with gold, and the other one I'm going to do something else with. So let's start again. Now that's about, you know, how it gets there. We get a lot of video, I can tell you that. A lot of video. And sometimes I think it's good to have a lot of video. Sometimes I think, you know, it is really, really depressing though. You know, and then over here in Holland, we're complaining about the gas prices. And then in the Ukraine, they have like, the temperature is something around -16, but that's, you know, Celsius. So -16, and they have no heat at all. And we're complaining that we have to pay too much for the heat. And, you know, you get pulled this way and that way, and that's just the thing, you know. There's no way to think about this, but, you know, everyone is losing. There are no winners in war. And I don't know what Putin is thinking, but, you know, no one's going to win. Because his country is set back, I think they said 50 to 60 years with all the sanctions they put on him. And the thing is, you don't put sanctions on Putin, you're putting sanctions on the people of Russia, who really, I don't think they want this. But hey, what can they do? Because if they just take the word war in their mouth, they risk 15 years of jail time. So I would be pretty careful if I were them too. So there are still demonstrations, and there are still people getting picked up, and I'm not sure if they all are going to get 15 years. But you can bet on it, if someone, you know, like a politician were to say that, they would go to Siberia and we would not see them back soon. And I am absolutely positive that's the case. Now, I don't want this one. Oops. I want this one. So that's what's going to happen. Now, the gas prices. It went up and up and up and up and up. And all the countries around Holland were sort of doing things, you know, to make it come down a bit. You know, like the tax on it. They lowered the tax. They lowered, I don't know what. A lot of countries did a lot of things, but no, Holland didn't. And we are right now number 2 on the most expensive country in the whole wide world on gas. Now, you can't explain something like that. You cannot explain it because, you know, in Spain, like, that's 1,000 miles from here. In Spain, it's €1 less, the liter. So I don't know why we're paying so much, but our government is really, really doing a thing on their people. And lots and lots of people are trying to stand up against it, but, you know what they did? This is really funny. Okay, you have to understand that in the winter, oh, I've got to do this or it'll dry. In the winter, you use most gas, because most homes here in Holland, you know, you get the warmth through a gas heater. So, you're not going to believe this, but you go on Twitter, you can go fact check it. So what they said is, okay, we understand that it's really bad. Yeah, because like there are old people who only have an income, you know, sort of a pension thing, they can't afford to, I told you this last week, they can't afford to turn on a heater because they can't pay for it. And if you can't pay for it, and you can't pay your rent, and you can't pay your food, well, then you're going to be homeless and you're going to be on the streets. And then you're like, I don't know, 70 years old, and you're going to be on the streets. And that, you know, people just, you know, choose not to use a heater. That one's kind of cool too. So these people are not turning on the heater, and they're, you know, just living in their house. And right here, it's also below zero in the evenings or in the nights, during the night. Over day, it's okay, but, you know, nights are cold. And these people are just, you know, they're at the end of what they can take. So what they said, the government, they said, okay, we understand, and we know what's going on, and we understand that people are not being able to pay their the bills and all that kind of stuff. You know what we're going to do? We're going to lower the taxes on heating gas too. And you know when they're going to do that? In July. In July, when it's like 30 degrees outside, when no one has their heater on in the first place. I'll give you an example. In January, February, something like that, I use about 400 to 500 cubic meters of gas. 400 to 500. And in July, I use 15. And that's when they're gonna give you yeah, if it wasn't so stupid, you wouldn't believe it. Okay, so that's so the country is pretty much, you know, sort of going to the social media, and they're starting to turn on the government over here, and I'm hearing the same things going on in other European countries. I think we are a little bit fast in doing that because we're always the first up on that kind of stuff. Now, let's see. Oh, that is kind of cool too. We're going to use that one too. I think I have enough. I can doodle on that all week. So, that's just the way the government treats the Dutch people. Of course, everyone wants solar panels now. So there's a backlog. All companies are saying takes if you were to call them and say I want solar panels today, it takes up to 3 months before it's your turn. So that's not going to help either. Then we have something that I forgot to look it up. I was going to look it up. There's some sort of a thing that pumps the air out of the ground, and it helps to lower your utility bill. But that thing is like I don't know, I'd say $7,000 to $10,000 to install. But even with that, they have a backlog of 2 to 3 months, so that's not going to help. So I'm just drinking a little coffee here. Okay, then the next big thing that's going to happen. So, of course, we're getting all these people, refugees that are coming from the Ukraine to Europe. We're going to pick, I don't know, I think they made a room for 50,000, something like that. And they're just, you know, dividing them up to the countries on how big the countries are and everything like that. But Poland has almost 1 million. Because people don't really want to go away from the Ukraine. They just want to get out of the war zone. So we should be giving money to Poland so they can take care of the people. But I guess that doesn't work that way. I don't know. You know, sometimes they should just ask me what to do. I could tell them what to do. But those big heads there in the government, they don't know what they're doing. Okay, so, but they're talking about, in worst case scenario, there are going to be 5 million people from the Ukraine coming to Europe. And they're already saying, you know, we can't handle that because that's way too many people and blah, 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 blah. Okay. But then there's this farmer from the Ukraine, Dutch farmer from the Ukraine, and he was in a talk show. And he said, guys, if this war doesn't stop within 2 to 3 weeks, those refugees you're seeing right now is going to be like nothing compared to what's going to come out of Africa. And see, this is where we really don't understand the impact of a war, because I had not thought about that. The Ukraine and Russia, they call them the grain shed of the world, because the grains that are grown in the Ukraine and Russia, most of it goes to Africa, Libya, and all those countries down there to feed the population. Now, the war is raging in the Ukraine. They have to plant that grain within 2 to 3 weeks. They're going to have to start planting. If they don't, then they miss the window of opportunity to plant, which means that there's not going to be any grain to send out to Africa. So what happens? Lots of people, and we're not talking about a couple of million, but more than that, are gonna, because if you're hungry and you're not getting food, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go look for food, and everyone says everything's better in the West, so off they go up to the West. So they're gonna come here too, and that's gonna be devastating, because most of those people have to get on a ship to get to you know, here. Most of them get on a ship, and then, like, I don't know, 20-30% of those ships sink. Lots of people drown, you know, and there are countries right now, they're pushing the ships back into the ocean. Like, I don't know, I saw that in Greece. They just say, we don't want any more refugees, you know, take your ship, go away. They put a rope on the ship and tug them out back to sea and say, you know, you just go look for another shore, but not Greece. Despicable. I'm telling you, how anyone can do that, I don't know. But then again, how anyone can bomb a country and civilians and dog shelters, I don't know. But that's also happening. So we're talking like the biggest humanitarian disaster waiting to happen right in front of our eyes, and we're not doing anything. And the thing is that what I've seen on videos, so this is not blah 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 propaganda, I've seen it on videos. There are little cities, towns in the Ukraine. These Russians come with like 20 tanks and artillery, you know, all these war cars and armored things. These citizens, I don't know how they do it, but they are connected somehow. They come with like 100, 200 people. They stand in the middle of the street. They say, stop. You are not getting into our town. And they slowly walk towards the convoy, and the convoy backs out. Now, if those soldiers wanted to, they could just blast their way straight through. They could just, you know, put the pedal to the metal, how you guys say, and just run straight over them, I guess. But they don't. So they back away, and that shows me that, you know, the Russians, it's not the Russians, it's Putin. The Russians don't want this. Well, maybe a few, you know, warmongering crazies that just shoot at civilians, but the most of them don't want this, so they just back away and try again the next day, something like that. So what I'm thinking, if whole of Europe, if we were all to go in there, like, you know, civilians, not military, because then Putin says he's going to bomb the hell out of us. But if we were to go into there as civilians and just walk straight, you know, with like millions of people, I think we could just, you know, get them the hell out of there. But you and I know that's not going to happen. Okay. I am going to let you hear what will happen if the nuclear, war starts. So I'm not sure. Do all countries have air you know, the sirens for when there are planes approaching with bombs? I'm not sure if everyone has that. So the Holland has a whole big network of sirens. Everyone that lives in Holland can hear the air alarm. Everyone. So I'll let you listen to that in a bit, because right here in Holland, don't worry, it's not a real alarm, but they're just testing. Every first Monday of the month, they test those alarms so that you know you can hear them. Now, the thing is that when they went off, I think that was the 6th of March was the first Monday in the month, something like that. It was really, really eerie and scary, because you heard them and they are loud, so you really hear them. And it was really scary, and you know, it just gives you that feeling like you're thinking, what if this was real? What if this was the real alarm and now you have to duck for cover? That is really, for me, that is, I just can't think about it. Okay. Now the prices in Holland, that was another thing I was going to. So at the end of this little video, I'm talking for 26 minutes. But at the end of this video, I will let you hear the air alarm. The prices in Holland, someone asked me about that. The prices in Holland are still going up, up, up. And they already told us they're not going to stop anytime soon. A loaf of bread right now is around, you know, the good bread is €2.15. And they're predicting it's going to go up to €5. So that's for a loaf of, like this, a loaf of bread, €5. And that's because of the grain shortage that's going to happen if the Ukraine can't plant their grain. So that's going to be, for a lot of people, I don't know, maybe we should cut down on our carbs anyway, right? You have to make fun of it. But for a lot of people who depend on bread, this is going to be really bad. We did a sort of a fundraiser in Holland, and we raised 106 million. Now that doesn't sound like much if you're living in America, but for Holland, you know, we have 18 million people. So we raised $106 million for the Ukraine. So I hope all of those dollars or euros get to where they have to be. Not that some director in a fancy office is gonna get a bonus or something like that. Usually that happens. Yeah, sorry. But that's the truth, guys. That's how it works. Okay, I want to end this with the biggest bombshell yesterday. Don't know if you're on Twitter. I don't know if you guys know Twitter. But if you don't, keep away, because you'll just get really depressed. So, but the biggest bombshell yesterday was about ivermectin. You know, the horse dewormer that everyone was talking about that didn't help. Well, it turns out it does help. And it turns out that 8 out of 10 people that died from corona could have been helped with ivermectin. So that, sorry for the word, but that shit is hitting the fan right now here in Holland. There were people that, from the WHO, the World Health Organization, who said, you have to go find it out for yourself, because it is one big mess. So right now, a lot of people in Holland are starting to attack our Minister of Health, because he didn't want Holland to be able to use ivermectin, because just before Corona happened, they took it off the shelves here. That is kind of funny, but they did. So first you could just buy it at the grocery store, at the drugstore, whatever. And then just before the first patient here in Holland came in with Corona, with COVID-19, then all of a sudden all that ivermectin was just disappeared. You couldn't get it anywhere. You could, you could buy it. You could order it online, but a lot of people don't know how to do that. Okay, guys, so that was the last bombshell. So I've been talking right now for 30 minutes. I think that is more than enough. You saw a couple of doodly things that I'm going to be doodling this week, which I kind of like. I like this one because it has this beautiful gold over the top. And I'm just not sure how I'm going to do those, but I'm going to figure out something really pretty. This one has a little bit of gold. And then, of course, this really stands out. Just not sure how I'm going to do this one. But we're going to make something really pretty out of it. So thanks for watching, everyone. And love your comments. And, you know, even if on this channel, I don't know, 50 or 100 people are going to listen to this because they want to know what's going on, I will be very happy. So thanks for watching. Love you all to pieces. And for everyone, a big fluffy hug. Not a tight one, just a fluffy hug. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Love ya. Bye.